What if I told you that the exact same JavaScript you use to build a website could instantly become a fully functioning native app right on your phone? No learning Java, no learning Swift, just pure familiar JavaScript. It sounds like magic, right? But it's actually a very real, incredibly powerful truth about modern mobile development, and we're going to dive right into it. Seriously, how does that even work? Have you ever wondered how these high-performance mobile interfaces are being built with web languages? Well, it turns out Meta, Facebook, released a secret weapon to do exactly this. Today, we are cracking that code. By the end of this explainer, you are going to completely understand this architecture. We'll uncover the secret to native apps, prep our workspace, boot up React Native, build some screen components, connect it all to a backend, and finish up with a final review. All right, part 1. The secret to native apps. So here is our main tool. It's called React Native. Released by Facebook back in 2015, it's an open-source JavaScript framework specifically designed to build native applications for mobile devices. But how does it actually pull this off? Think of React Native as a universal translator. Imagine traveling to a foreign country with a genius translator who takes your English and instantly, flawlessly speaks the local language. That is exactly what React Native does. It takes your standard JavaScript and instantly translates it into the native visual languages of iOS and Android. And this brilliantly illustrates a core concept in software, the separation of concerns. React Native is your pristine front-end interface. It handles all the visual components the user taps on and sends out HTTP requests. On the flip side, Node acts as your hard-working back-end engine. It runs the REST API and talks to your database. You can think of it like a restaurant. React Native is the beautifully decorated dining room, with waiters taking orders, while Node is the kitchen staff in the back cooking up all the data. Moving on to part 2, preparing your workspace. Now, to successfully build out our to-do mobile app, we absolutely need a very specific tech stack. We're using Node version 14.17.5, React Native 0.67, Express.js 4.17.2, Mongoose.js 6.1.9, and Axios 0.21.0. The absolute crucial point here is securing these exact package versions. Why? Because version mismatches are a massive source of headaches. Ensuring you have these specific versions guarantees seamless, bug-free communication between our mobile frontend and the Mongoose-powered MongoDB database. Lock these in first. Once our stack is set up, we need a place to actually view our app, right? Setting up a testing environment is a super simple 3-step process inside Android Studio. First, you just open the device manager from the Tools menu. Second, select your hardware. In our case, we'll create a virtual Pixel 5. Third, download the operating system image, like the Pi release, and hit start. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Why do we need a virtual emulator when almost all of us have a real phone sitting right next to our keyboard? Great question. The reason is that an emulator allows for rapid, incredibly safe testing of your compiled JavaScript code across tons of different device profiles, right on your desktop monitor. You don't have to unplug cables, constantly copy files, or worry about accidentally breaking your personal device. It's a completely isolated, safe sandbox for your code.
Okay, part 3, booting up React Native.
Wait, pause right here. This is absolutely critical. A huge trap developers fall into is generating their React Native app inside the exact same folder as their Node backend. You must generate the React Native app in a directory completely outside and separate from your Node backend. If you mix your front-end and backend files into a single folder, you will completely destroy your deployment logic, and the app simply won't compile. Remember our analogy? Keep your dining room and your kitchen in separate rooms.
So you've kept your folders separate and you run the launch command. But what's actually happening behind the scenes when you launch the app? Well, the moment you hit enter, it fires up something called the Metro Bundler. Imagine you're going on a long trip and you have to pack a massive wardrobe into a single, highly organized suitcase so it easily fits in the airplane's overhead bin. That's the Metro Bundler. It grabs all your JavaScript files, your images, your libraries, and tightly packs them into one clean bundle so it can be deployed smoothly straight onto your emulator.
Let's get visual in part 4, building screen components. Inside your front-end directory, you're going to create a specific file called todolist.js, right inside the src/screens folder. This is where the visual magic happens. Within this file, React Native uses a standard return function. Basically, whatever you place inside that return function is exactly what gets painted on the phone screen. For instance, the code inside this specific return function is going to render a modal pop-up screen, allowing users to type in their new to-do item. But wait, we have to connect the dots. You built your screen into dolist.js, but your app technically doesn't know it exists yet. You have to update your app.js file. Think of app.js as the main stage of a theater. You just built the scenery into dolist.js, but now you have to manually pull that scenery onto the app.js main stage so the audience, your user, can actually see and interact with it.
Now for the really fun part. Part 5, connecting to the backend.
All right, here is another massive trap that literally catches students all the time. Inside your todolist.js file, you have to tell your front end where the backend lives by setting an API-based variable. You must configure this variable to the exact local IP address of the computer running your Express server. Do not, I repeat, do not just type localhost if you're using an emulator. Because to an emulator, localhost means the emulator itself, not your computer. So find your actual computer's local network IP and plug it in right here. And to actually send our data across that IP address, we use Axios. Axios is a package we add to make HTTP requests from the React Native app over to the Express REST API. Think of Axios as your highly dependable messenger. You hand this messenger your brand new to-do item from the mobile phone, and Axios carefully carries it across the network, knocks on the door of your Node API, and safely delivers it straight into your MongoDB database. Almost done. Part 6, final review and summary. Let's put all the pieces of the puzzle together. This maps out our entire architecture journey from today. React Native handles the front-end visual rendering. Android Studio provides that crucial testing environment we talked about. Axios acts as the networking bridge, carrying our data. And finally, Node and Express act as the backend API, interacting directly with the database. As you can see, every single tool has a very specific, isolated job. The absolute beauty of mastering this workflow is all about cross-platform development. The exact same JavaScript concepts, the exact same React components, and the exact same Axios calls you just learned apply whether you are targeting an Android emulator via Android Studio or an iOS device using Apple's Xcode. You literally learn it once, and you can deploy it everywhere. So we started by taking web code, pushing it onto a mobile device, and wiring it up to a database. Now that you've successfully bridged web and mobile, here is my question for you. What complex problem will your next native application solve? Keep that question in the back of your mind and start thinking bigger, because in our next explainer, we're going to take these exact concepts even further into cloud-native applications development. Until then, keep coding and keep building.